Do you want to completely transform your finances in the next 90 days without giving up your daily matcha and bottomless brunch? Everyone asks, how do I finally get my money under control? And here's the truth. It's not about giving up everything you love. In fact, I think the opposite is true. So let me show you how to do it in a way that's smart and sustainable and still allows you to enjoy life. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Davina and welcome to my finance corner. I've been working in accounting and finance for over 15 years and I've learned a lot both in my career and my own personal finance journey. So I've created this channel to help you avoid the money traps and start building wealth sooner. Let's get into it. Step number one, choose a specific goal. The first step is to set a clear money goal that you want to work on, because without a goal, it's like driving without a destination. You could end up anywhere, right? So choose a specific goal that you want to work on for the next 90 days. It could be to pay your bills on time so you don't end up getting late fees. It could be to finally pay off your debt or buy your first index fund investment. And the thing is, when it comes to setting money goals, it's not just about the number, it's about making a promise to yourself. So write it down, make it specific, and give it a deadline. For example, if your goal is to pay off debt, don't just write down, I want to pay off debt. No, make it specific. Say that you want to pay off your £300 credit card balance by the 31st of December by paying down £100 a month. That goal is clear, it's specific, and it's measurable, and that will keep you motivated. So your action is to write down your goal and give yourself a deadline. You can put this in your Google Calendar, write it in your journal, or anywhere that you're going to see it most often. Step number two, audit your finances. Most people think that saving a lot of money will solve all their problems, but that's not true. In order to see real transformation, you need to know your numbers first. So audit your finances. Without knowing your numbers, it's hard to figure out how you're actually going to achieve your goals. So write it down. You want to list your income, your expenses, minimum debt payments, everything. Write it down. Once you have all your income and expenses, you want to deduct your expenses from your income. That will give you your monthly surplus. That's the number that you're going to be working with to achieve all of your goals. You can use Google Sheets, an Excel spreadsheet, a notebook and a pen, an app, whatever's most comfortable for you. With my 15 years working with finance and helping some of my friends who actually earn a lot of money get the numbers under control, one of the things that trips people up the most is not knowing their numbers. And I made this mistake too, which is why I ultimately ended up in debt. But once I took the time to actually sit down and go through my numbers and see all of my income and where all my money was going, I realized that the problem wasn't the number, it was that I didn't know where my money was going, and that was tripping me up. So your action for this step is to actually set some time aside to look through your numbers. Make yourself your favorite drink so that you're cozy, sit down, pull up your bank statements and actually look through your numbers. I have a free budget template that I can link in the description box below, and you can use it to go through your numbers to make the process easier. Step number three, cut back and tackle debt. Now that you know your numbers, it's time to make them work for you. Now, I'm not saying that you have to cut out everything and give up all the things you love. No, I don't believe that you have to sacrifice joy to reach your financial goals. In fact, I think there's a balance where you can work towards your money goals and still make room for the things that you love. But here's the truth. The fastest way to free up money and reach your goals is to cut back on the big three. That's housing, food, and transportation. Finding ways to even make a 10% reduction in these areas is giving yourself an immediate cash injection. And if you have any high interest debt like credit cards or payday loans, one of the best cutbacks you can make is throwing any extra cash towards paying down your debt. Because every pound you pay down is like giving yourself a guaranteed return, because you're no longer losing that money to paying off interest. Because you want to make a transformation in the next 90 days, one of the quickest wins that you could get is focusing on reducing your food costs, because your food costs are largely within your control. Now, you will know that number because you would have calculated it in step two. Now, the easiest way to reduce your food costs is to plan your meals. You can create yourself a weekly menu of foods that you actually enjoy. You can make a grocery shopping list based on those items. You can shop at cheaper grocery stores to keep the cost down. And that way, throughout the week, when it comes to breakfast, lunch and dinner, you'll know what you're eating, so you won't have to panic and order Uber Eats. When I was trying to turn my finances around, I did the same thing. I focused on reducing my food costs. So instead of shopping at Marks and Spencer's, I shopped at Aldi and Sainsbury's. I used the Nectar card so I can collect points. And I also cancelled subscriptions that I no longer needed. And that allowed me to save hundreds without feeling deprived. Now, your action for this step is to choose one of the big three to focus on reducing or paying down your debt. Step number four, build saving. Now, if you've noticed, throughout this transformation, we haven't focused on saving, and that's because saving alone won't fix your finances. But now that you've freed up some money in your budget by auditing your finances, cutting back on the big three, paying down debt, saving is what will give you protection. The easiest way to do that is to automate it, so that way you won't have to focus on willpower. Think of these savings as a cushion. If your car tire needs replacing or your phone breaks, you have a fund that you can dip into to cover the cost. You don't have to panic, you don't have to use a credit card and put yourself into debt. Now, if you don't have any money saved up, then focus on building your starter emergency fund, which could just be £1,000. But if your goal for the next 90 days was to build your starter emergency fund, then focus on building your full emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Now, you would have calculated this number in step 2, but ensure it's only essential expenses. I'm not including your Netflix or Amazon subscription. No, I'm talking about the essential expenses that you need to survive each month. That includes your rent or mortgage payments, your utilities, food, transportation, the essential fundamentals that you need to survive. And you want to put them in a high yield interest savings account, so at least your money's working a little harder for you, and you want to automate it so it happens automatically. You don't have to think about it. So your action step for this month is to decide how much you need to save for your startup or full emergency fund each month, and set up an automatic transfer so it leaves your current account and goes straight to your savings account on payday. If you're enjoying this video or finding it helpful so far, subscribe for more videos to help you on your finance journey. Step 5, increase your income. Cutting back is powerful, but there's only so far it can take you. There is a limit to how much you can cut back before your life starts getting uncomfortable, but there's no limit to how much money you can make. Now, when I say increase your income, I'm not necessarily saying that you have to go and start a business tomorrow or even necessarily start a side hustle, but you could do simple things like offer your services. So say like you work in marketing, you could offer marketing services. You could take up freelance gigs, or you could sell items online. When I was really trying to turn my finances around, one of the first things I did was to sell my unwanted clothes and shoes on eBay, because I used to shop a lot and I realized I'm hardly wearing the clothes, so why not sell them online to make extra cash? But it wasn't necessarily just about making the extra cash. It was also proving to myself that I had other options outside of just working a 9 to 5 to make extra money and reach my financial goals. Every pound you earn is taking a step towards becoming the woman that creates opportunities for themselves instead of waiting for them. So your action for this step is to choose a way to make extra money and take action. For example, if you're deciding to sell clothes on eBay, go and find the items, take the pictures and list them. Step 6, reflect and set long-term goals. At the end of the 90 days, you want to take a second to pause and reflect and think about what you achieved. Whether it was that you paid your bills on time, you didn't incur late fees, or you started paying off the debt, or you bought your first index fund investment, you want to take a second to pause and celebrate, because celebrating is important because it builds momentum and reinforces the positive habits and changes that you've made. Then you want to use that momentum to build long-term goals, whether it's investing consistently or building wealth or buying an asset that will generate you returns in the future. Because it's not just about money, it's about becoming the version of yourself that feels confident, secure, and free. Because in just 90 days, you would have seen real change. You would have set a specific goal for yourself. You would have calculated and really got to know your numbers. You would have cut back to free up money in your budget. You would have tackled debt. You would have increased your income. That is literally laying the foundation for your finances. And once all of these things are in place, you can do anything. You're no longer just surviving or focused on just saving, because you would have understood at this point that saving isn't what's going to set you free. You can focus on building wealth. You can focus on purchasing assets. The world is your oyster at this point, because everything is where it needs to be. So your action for this step is to choose one long-term specific goal that you want to work on and write down the steps that you need to take to get there, and then take action. So those are the 6 steps to transform your finances in 90 days. And once you start to see yourself as the type of woman who knows their numbers, invests and builds wealth, that's where the real transformation begins. Now here's the thing, transformation only sticks if you have a routine to follow. So if you really want to make this stick, check out my video on my payday routine. It's the exact steps that I use every month to build wealth and set my future self up for success. Don't forget, stay rich in mindset and the money will follow. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.